Welcome to Warsaw, Poland. If you love to travel and want to stay in the loop with all the latest tips, reviews, and updates, be sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to like and share. We do appreciate the support. Today we have a 9-hour layover in Warsaw, Poland, on our way to Tbilisi, Georgia. But before we head into the city, here are a few quick facts to get you a little familiar with this historic and very resilient city. Now for our layover checklist. We've done this quite a few times, so we like to check all the boxes to make sure everything runs smoothly and we take full advantage of our time. And here's our Warsaw layover checklist. We're going to try to see as many sites as possible. Okay, it's not the optimal way to travel, but think of this as a quick walking tour, just to give you an idea of what you might want to see when you travel to Warsaw or have an extended layover here. As we land in Warsaw Chopin Airport, next up, Customs and Immigration. And since our bags are checked through, we move through the airport rather quickly, as time is of the essence. Now let's find the train and head into the city. Now we make our way to the baggage claim exit doors, and the train is pretty easy to find as it's basically connected to the airport. All you have to do is follow the blue line. And it's a short walk from there to the escalators where you head downstairs. Now, it's a little bit of a walk to get there, but really not that bad. And don't worry, you won't get lost, as there's pretty clear signage throughout the station. Now you'll walk down this short hallway towards the train platform. Now for us, we had two options to purchase tickets, one on the platform or two on the train. We decided to buy our tickets on the train, and it's an easy process. We just paid with our credit card. But there was staff around to help if you needed them. We were taking the S2 train to Śródmieście, and pardon my Polish throughout as I'm still working on it. There's a monitor with a clear display of the stops on the train. In addition, the announcements are in Polish and in English. 7 stops later, we arrived at our station in the city, and as we exited the station, we wound up right in the middle of this lotto event. Looked like some kind of Lucky 13 campaign, hosted by this guy, who I believe is a famous basketball player in Poland. His name escapes me now, but if you know, mention it in the comments. Here we are at our first stop, and honestly, you can't really miss it. The Palace of Culture and Science. It dominates the Warsaw skyline and was built in the 1950s as a gift from the Soviet Union. Now, we put the gift in quotes for a reason. Most Warsavians weren't exactly thrilled about a Stalin-era skyscraper planted in the middle of their city. Love it or hate it, and plenty of people do both. It's become one of the most recognizable buildings in Poland. And right at the base is the Warszawa sign. You know it as Warsaw. Not exactly a historical monument, but if you're here, you're probably taking a few photos. We did. And if you want a much better shot of the sign, come back at night when the sign is lit up in neon. It might be worth it. At this point, we were a little hungry, so next stop was a local bakery to carve up on some tasty treats. Site number 2, Nicholas Copernicus, the father of modern astronomy, the man who stopped the sun and set the Earth in motion. Back in the 1500s, he proposed that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. In fact, it revolved around the sun, an idea so radical the church clergy boycotted this monument's 1830s unveiling because his book was still on the forbidden list. I guess science won out on this one. As our journey towards Old Town continues, we pass by the Church of the Holy Cross, a stunning symbol of Warsaw's resilience, and home to one of its most unexpected secrets. Chopin's heart is actually embalmed inside one of its pillars. That's pretty cool. Moving on, at this point Lily decided it was time to hydrate, a local beer for the walk. When in Warsaw, we checked out this local map and found ourselves at Tyszkoewicz Palace, a neoclassical gem completely destroyed in World War II and meticulously rebuilt stone by stone, a true testament to Polish resilience. Site 5, President Lech Kaczyński, tragically killed in the 2010 Smolensk air disaster, along with 95 other people on board. A sad moment on our walk, but an important one. Site 6, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. A site I definitely wasn't gonna miss. Since its reconstruction in 1946, this eternal flame has burned for every Polish soldier who gave their life for their country. 2 guards stand watch every single day of the year. A stop on our walk that definitely required a moment of silence. And right next door to the tomb was Saxon Garden, another site we didn't want to miss. And at this point, we just needed to take a breath and smell the roses. One of Europe's oldest public parks, opened in 1727, a Baroque masterpiece. And what's interesting, this park is modeled after the Grand Gardens of Versailles. Next, Hotel Bristol, opened since 1901 and one of Warsaw's most legendary addresses. Guests over the years include JFK, Queen Elizabeth II, and Sir Paul McCartney. Down the road to our next site, the Presidential Palace, built in 1643 and one of the most historic buildings in all of Poland. An 8-year-old Chopin gave his first public concert here, and the Warsaw Pact was signed here as well. Standing guard in front, Prince Józef Poniatowski, a Polish general and a hero of the Napoleonic Wars. The Poles called him their own Napoleon. Cycling to our next site, Adam Mickiewicz, Poland's greatest poet. Now, the Nazis destroyed this monument during the occupation and transported the pieces to Germany. After the war, Polish soldiers actually found the head in Hamburg, brought it home, rebuilt it, and restored in 1950. On to Site 12, Warsaw Old Town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and honestly, one of the most beautiful parts of this city. Hard to believe, looking at it now, that it was almost entirely destroyed in World War II and rebuilt from old paintings and photographs. That's pretty incredible. A pleasant surprise, walking through Old Town, we stumbled right into the Procession of History, an annual festival celebrating Poland's past with historical characters, music, and costumes. They were handing out these paper crowns, and of course we had to participate, which takes us right to our next site, the Wishing Bell, a 17th century bronze bell that was cast with a defect and never rang. Behind it, a legend. A poisoning, a rival, a woman ended up in a convent. Legend says if you touch it, circle 3 times, make a wish, it'll come true. We did it. Wishes are still pending. Over halfway done with our sites and still going strong. The Royal Castle Warsaw, dating back to the 1350s, the official residence of Polish kings for centuries, and completely leveled in 1944 on Hitler's personal orders and rebuilt entirely from citizens' donations. Then we had a nice easy walk down the cobblestone streets, checking out some of the colorful shops along the way. A pleasant little break from our walking tour. And a few steps later, we come across this sign of a Chopin concert tonight at 6:30. Now, we would have loved to stay, but with a flight to catch, maybe next time. One more stop before lunch, St. John's Archcathedral. Poland's first president rests here, assassinated just 5 days after taking office. Okay, about 15 sites in, we thought it was a good time to take a break for lunch. Now, we found this spot right off a side street near Old Town, kinda tucked away, and it looked pretty authentic, even though it's one of a few locations in the city. It was pretty busy, but we managed to grab a seat outside since it was such a beautiful day. Now, there were tables inside just in case the weather wasn't cooperating. But today was definitely an outside day. Now let's take a look at the menu, but we already knew why we were here. For pierogies and beer. We started off with a couple of local beers. They were quite refreshing and really hit the spot, especially after walking all morning. Next up came the pierogies, and we've been looking forward to these since arriving in Poland, and they definitely did not disappoint. After wrapping up that excellent lunch, it was time we continued on with our sights. Next stop is the Dawna Street Gateway. Now there's a bridge-like arch overhead. It's actually a secret elevated corridor built so the royals could sneak from the castle to the cathedral without ever touching the street or mingling with the locals. It's one of Warsaw's narrowest, most romantic spots. Just look at the love locks lining the fence here, left by couples hoping for some of that royal luck. And right next door, the Strongman statue, who's been guarding this Warsaw courtyard for over a century. Next up, Old Town Market Square. Now, it's hard to believe this entire area was completely leveled in World War II, like so many other sites we've seen today, rebuilt from the ground up. These colorful houses lining the square, each side is actually named after a famous Pole who helped shape the country. After 17 sites, This was the perfect place to sit back, relax, and soak in the city. While here, let's visit the Warsaw Mermaid, standing right in the center of the square, known locally as Syrenka. She's much more than a statue. She's been a fierce symbol and protector of the city for centuries. Unlike most mermaids, she's armed with a sword and a shield, ready to defend the heart of Warsaw. Very cool. Forging ahead, we were a little thirsty, so we stopped into Same Krafty. It's a local favorite with a rotating selection of small batch Polish beers. They have different sizes from tasters to pints, which is exactly what we needed at this point in the day. If you're a beer fan in Old Town, this spot's a must, and conveniently located steps away from our next site, the Barbican. This fortress was only used in battle once, back in 1656. Now it's just a beautiful gateway to the new town. Site 21, the Warsaw Uprising Monument. On August 1st, 1944, the Polish resistance rose up against 5 years of Nazi occupation. They fought for 63 days with almost no outside support, while the Soviet army just sat across the river and simply watched. Over 200,000 lives were lost. The monument itself wasn't even allowed to be built until 1989. The communist government suppressed the memory for decades. Standing here today, you finally understand the desperate, unbreakable need these people had to be free. Site 22, the field cathedral of the Polish army, and it's pretty unique. As you look to either side of the entrance, you'll see an anchor and propeller honoring the different military branches. This is St. Casimir's. It started as a queen's palace, but she turned it into a church to celebrate her husband's legendary win at the Battle of Vienna. The Kiliński Monument, a reminder that history isn't just shaped by kings. He was an ordinary guy who stepped up when it really mattered. And after checking out this interesting and, from what I hear, very mysterious zodiac clock, it looks like it's time to head back to the airport. Quick tip, keep some change handy. Public restrooms here usually cost a couple of zlotys. On the way back to catch our Uber, we passed by the sister restaurant of the one we ate at earlier, and even caught a glimpse of the National Stadium in the distance. Our final site, the Visitationist Church. It's a rare Baroque survivor in a city that almost lost everything. A young Chopin played organ here, and it's almost entirely unchanged from all those years. It's about as authentic as Warsaw gets. And here's our full walking tour through Warsaw, 25 sites in order, so you can follow it step by step if you want to try it yourself. Now it was time to make our way through the streets to our Uber meeting point, and it's a pretty quick and easy ride back to the airport. And at about $7, it's a bit more expensive than the train, but with extra luggage, it might be worth it. We arrived back at Terminal A and was dropped off at Entrance D where lot check-in is located. But since our bags were already checked through, it was straight to the Etuda Executive Lounge. Now, we've been here a few times and it can get a little crowded as it's one of the only few options in the non-Schengen area, but overall, we think it's a solid option, so keep an eye out for our full review of this lounge. Next up, Flight 204 in our lot series, 4 flights, 4 aircraft. This time on their 737 MAX 8 for just under a 4-hour flight to Tbilisi, Georgia. Let's see how lot stacks up on the next leg of our journey. Now for some final thoughts on Warsaw, Poland. Lily has been here before, but for me, it was my first time, and Warsaw exceeded my expectations. 9 hours, 25 sites, a few beers, some pierogies, and we're still barely scratching the surface. Warsaw is rich in history, emotional at times, easily walkable, and one of the more affordable European cities. Getting around is pretty simple. The food here is great, the beer is cold, and the people here have been through more than most cities could ever imagine. And they're still standing. Warsaw absolutely deserves a spot on your travel list, whether you're here for 9 hours or 9 days. We think it's worth it. We hope this helps you when planning your trip to Warsaw. Safe travels. If you enjoy traveling and like our videos, please subscribe, share, and like. We really do appreciate it, as it does help support the channel.